Live. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, turn that off. Okay, live. Yes, we're live. This is Polygon. Issuance
Coming
number.
at you live.
Yeah, we're live from the smoky state of Iowa, and in the episode issuance show whatever 106. Matthew is busy outside in the smoky air, and I'm busy inside in my hot apartment. It is hot in my apartment. I'm going to complain. I'm going to go on a rant. Yesterday, it got up to like 5 million degrees. It was actually about 87 yesterday, which is like really hot. I came home late last night. We're doing it on a Saturday. I came home late last night at 9 o'clock or something or whatever, and it was like nice and cool in my apartment. I was thinking I was going to have to turn on the air conditioner. I was thinking I'm going to have to turn on the air conditioner. I'm going to do that. I'm home. I've been home since like 2:30 today, and it is now hotter today than it was in my apartment than it was yesterday.
Wow.
I can look at my thermometer. I'm going to say thermostat, but I don't have that in my apartment. And it says it's 79 in my apartment. I think yesterday it was 76 or 77.
Yikes.
So I'm ticked. So, but outside of that, with the hot weather, and there was a few thunderstorms last night that didn't hit me. I didn't go outside to look for them either, but they were close.
They kind of sideswiped me because I woke up this morning and came outside and there was a couple of wet spots on my back porch.
Yeah, there was not that I could see anything here. There was some lightning with it, but that was with that system that then went through and it produced a bunch of severe weather to our southeast, including that storm that blew through Churchill Downs about an hour or so before the Kentucky Derby. And I'm not going to get into that because that's a topic for another day.
I agree.
And that's a topic for because there was an incident. Let's just I'll mention the incident and we'll go on. Let's just say some debris hit a horse, and the horse was not happy. And I'll leave it at that. No, it was not during the Derby, thank goodness, because by the time the Derby had taken place, it was a bright sunny day again.
Yep.
So anyway, we move forward. But there's video of debris hitting a horse's head in the paddock area. It's on Twitter. It's probably in other places. Anyway, so that frontal system came through. There is going to be another one of these wonderful plains episodes of tornadoes again tomorrow. There's some today in Colorado. I have seen at least 2 tornadoes on my Twitter feed.
I saw a little bit of Jeff Petrowski's feed. Probably I'd call it an hour and a half ago, and he was on a beautiful looking storm that was out in the middle of nowhere, way out in far northeast Colorado.
Yeah,
looked awesome on his camera.
It's awesome because it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Precisely.
So nobody's going to get hit except animals. Although we care about the animals, but
except for some poor, rattlesnake that probably got hit with a baseball-sized hailstone. Poor snake.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, parts of Wyoming are getting snow, and Colorado Rockies are getting snow,
and lots of it.
Yeah. Welcome to May. Anyway, so there's a really bad weather risk. So I'm hoping for the sake of everybody else. And this sounds very bad that there's severe weather tomorrow and quite a bit of it. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of chasers that are going to be screaming bloody murder again after the escapade of the moderate risk about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, because there's a moderate risk for tomorrow.
I was just going to ask. I didn't see any of the updates.
There's a moderate risk tomorrow. It's only in south central Kansas and north central Oklahoma.
Okay, so it's not very big.
It's tiny. Well, I wouldn't say it's tiny, but it's not. It's probably, say, from just north of Wichita to maybe around Oklahoma City, and maybe 80 miles wide.
Okay, so it's
So
a pretty thin strip. That's pretty much I-35.
probably from about just around a lot. I'll get it right. From pretty much 35 west, maybe about 80 miles. From
And what
about
is that highway? 281 maybe? Or is that
to
too far west?
maybe slightly further west than that,
Okay.
up to maybe just north of US 50, which is the road that goes west out of Wichita.
Okay.
50 or 54. No, it's 50.
Yeah, it's 50. I was about to
Yeah,
say.
maybe slightly further north than that, and then from 35 and then west of there. So something like that. Something to that effect. Maybe a tad off. Who cares? So that's what's going on tomorrow. There'll be some more storms later in the week. Here, it's just going to start raining, and then it's going to be rain, 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 rain. I saw where we could get up to 2 to 3 inches of rain. And I'm thinking,
Yes.
great. When I saw, and then we're not even up to the point of what we have to talk about, because we're going to sidetrack into the fires that I mentioned on Twitter from the rain that I saw. I think it was earlier this week that they said it was like in the long-term climate data for like in the next, I think it's the 8 to 14 day period. It said Iowa was going to be well below average for precipitation. Well, by that point, we'll be like, yay, if we're going to get 3 inches of rain, because we'll need the dry weather. So
Yep.
I just don't want the hot weather, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that, because from what I can kind of tell, and this is fluid, that the temperature we saw yesterday may be the hottest we may see for at least the next 2 weeks. Rough.
I tend to agree with that, but I'm starting to slightly, and I do mean slightly, dabble into teleconnections, the oscillations.
Yep. Yep.
Some of the oscillations seem to kind of point to a rather warm midsummer months like July,
Yeah.
August.
I
Those
know.
they're starting to point that direction. I'll say that. Is that a forecast? Heck no, because I am in no way in a position to say that at all. Nor is
Well,
really anybody, to be
es-
perfectly
espe-
honest.
well, especially when we're coming out of a strong El Nino, and we're probably heading into what most people are pretty much going to guessing is going to be a moderate La Nina.
Yeah.
Transition period is going to be this late spring, probably sometime in June, through the summer. We'll probably be into La Nina by winter. That typically, when you're in this transition period, it could go all over the place. So you'd have to look at years when we've been coming out of El Ninos, especially strong ones. So like the 82, 83 and 97, 98. Now, and I saw this was from Iowa climatologist. No, it was from Elwin Taylor from Iowa State. That it was from Elwin Taylor.
Yes, sir.
And he said that he was the one who posted it, that said we're either going to be something like the 82, 83 year, the year after, where I think we had a drought, or 97, 98 where it was moist. It was either or. So it's up in the air. If it's moist, as in we get a lot of rain, July may end up being more humid than hot. But if we have a drier than normal late spring into summer, we could be looking at something similar, but probably not as extreme as 2012, where temperatures were over 100.
Yep.
So take your pick. Who wants a dew point of 80? Or do you want a temperature of 106?
I don't want either of those, but
We may have to. Corn is going to get us dew points in the 70s, unless it's unless it's 2012, and then we'll have a temperature of 105 to 108. And I don't want that either. So, but
if I had my way, temperature of 87 with a dew point of about 67 or 68.
which would probably be a heat index in the 90s.
Yeah, upper 90s.
Which
That
would
to me
probably be
is
like your
really
limit.
nice.
You don't want it to be that temperature every day.
Yeah. No, you have to consider that I'm working outside every day, so I have to kind of quell that down a little bit.
Well, then
what I
you'd want a
really like.
temperature of 75 with a dew point of 55.
Yeah, like it was, well, today. Today's a perfect work outside per concrete type day.
Yeah,
Friday was
horrible.
blistering for me.
Well, yeah. Well, yesterday it was 87 with a dew point of like 40. It was horrendously dry. Because this was the weather that, and we're going to go into the Canadian fires now. This was the weather that Fort McMurray in Alberta, which is having that fire, had 3 or 4 days ago, where they had temperatures in the low 90s. And we're talking about areas at and north of the Arctic Circle were
Yep.
in the 80s and low 90s. And when you get dry weather and the relative humidities were at like 15 to 30%, it's going to cause trouble.
Hashtag Omega Block.
And so we're going to bring up this. And I showed this to Matt earlier. So let me make sure I'm going to. Oh, it's going to be pissy at me now. Come on. No. Just a minute. We're going to. This is what we get for live TV. We get a mess. Well, live TV, live hangout. Anyway, so we bring up this thing that's on the screen right now. And let me put it on the thing right here. This was, and some people may have seen this, and no, we're not talking about the Enterprise rent-a-car that you see right here, because that's Enterprise. They'll pick you up. That is Enterprise, by the way. This is a couple of days ago. This is the Fort McMurray fire, when it looks like a nice small thing. Now, there is a picture, and I wish I could have taken it, but then since it's been days, I have to wait until morning to show it because, and I've seen this video. I've seen the picture. It shows this fire right here, as you can see right here. It shows the inversion, which you can kind of almost see. It looks like an anvil.
Yep.
It showed the smoke only like right here, from here down, and nothing up here. And at one point, I think it was earlier this week, or earlier in the week, back Monday, Tuesday, the sky dawned and it was completely blue. And the fire was seemingly gone. Was it? Nope.
No.
Because there was an inversion. The smoke was right on the ground, but not in the air. And since this is at the airport, this is Fort McMurray Airport, you couldn't see it. Now, this was, I don't remember what day this was. I believe this might have been Tuesday. Monday, or I think it was Monday. And then this was the next day. Now, this is a good thing. This shows the wind. You see there's here, 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 and then see the smoke building up into pyrocumulus clouds, which formed lightning, which formed more fires, as if they needed any more.
Yeah.
Now, the city, for those that would want to know, the city of Fort McMurray, now the airport's quite a ways away from the city. The city is in about this direction.
And it's not a small little town. This is what, 50, 60,000
I could get on a
people?
rant about that because people are calling it a tiny town. I'm thinking, a town of 80,000 people is tiny. It is the fifth largest area. Now, I'll get to why I said that. Fifth largest area in terms of populace in the province of Alberta. Fifth largest. We're not talking like tiny town. Now, I said largest area. That's because Fort McMurray is not technically a city. It's known as an urban area because they're no longer a city. And
so, in American terms, they are unincorporated.
No.
Really?
Their city government was merged with what I would term their county government.
Oh, okay.
Which is known as a regional municipality. The regional municipality and the city government are the same thing. So there is actually no city governments in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo, which is where Fort McMurray is. They have one government. That's it. So it's
cool.
like a city-county combined thing. There's a lot of those in the United States. For example, a lot of people would know would be Miami-Dade County. The county is not called Miami-Dade. It's called Dade. but it's been called Miami-Dade by so many people because it's actually a combined city-county government. So that's where I go with it. There's several others. Nashville, I think, is a city-county combined. Louisville is city-county combined, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on. It sounds boring. This is a weather show, not a just talk about cities and county show. So yeah, the fire. And you notice the wind is blowing from now. You're looking west, northwest. So the fire is blowing to the north. So the wind's out south. And then this was the next day. And you can see the fire is here. There's actually fire from about here all the way over. Now, for those that would want to know, watch this building right here. And I showed this to Matt before we started. This building right here. And then...
And this goes to show just how quickly that fire traveled. That
building is no longer there because it burned down. But notice, this building behind it, this building, all the other buildings, including this one right back here, survived. The trees burned. Now, the fire at this point was actually behind the camera. So, but this was interesting. If I go back to this, the first thing. Now, I went back and looked at a 30-day. This is available on a website. If you type in Fort McMurray webcam, you'll get this webcam at the airport. You can also get traffic cameras in Fort McMurray, which surprisingly enough are still working. So
which is amazing.
What's even more amazing, I looked at them at night and the power is still on.
Really?
Yep. Oh, and then I saw a video. We'll get to this afterwards. So you can look at the fire and smoke and whatnot. But right here, I'm pointing in this area right here. On the day before this, which I did not do, here's the fire. I went back 30 days because you can do a 30-day thing. On 30 days ago, from when I did this was a few days ago, so it's probably been almost 33, 34 days. Right here was a big pile of snow. And the snow slowly melted. And the last day you saw the puddle from this snow right here was the day before this fire. So there was snow melt up until right before the fire. Wow. So they did have some water content. The problem is what sparked it, because the day before this, the couple days before it, it was sunny or partly cloudy. So there may have been lightning that sparked it. I don't know. I have not heard what sparked it because nobody seems to be mentioning that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be out there. I've tried to search for a cause for the fire myself, and I don't even see much of a mention of it, an investigation really, which seems kind of strange.
Well, where it started was out in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing there where it was. So, and right now,
how in the middle of nowhere was it? Was it like,
it's forest,
a day's hike, or was it like if you're out there, you got a few days worth of survival stuff with you?
And there's no, you'd have to hike to get there. Now, if the screen is showing up right now,
it is.
This is the current picture.
This is a lot of smoke.
Well, the camera's slightly dirty too, but it is smoky. This is still looking, you can see the sun is setting, but there's still smoke around. It doesn't look that bad. It just looks hazy. This looks like outside here, except this is where the fire is. The main fire activity, though, is nowhere near this place. It is east or south of this spot, and you're looking west, where most of that to your west is either burned or the fire has already passed it and is not coming back.
Yep.
And there's even some fire to the north of this, but it's north or northeast. So it's almost like the city is somewhat safe, sort of, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to get there because they don't know if the wind could shift back and it could start burning stuff again.
Yep.
So, and it shows, and I don't know if the black thing popped up, this up here.
Yes, it did.
This is not is concerning. The temperature of 25, that's in Celsius, and the dew point is 0.
Wow.
This indicates that the temperature is 77 with a dew point of 32. That starts fires. That is not good, especially when you have a temperature spread like that. And this isn't a desert area. There's trees around, which there's not many of now. That is very concerning that the temperature is climbing again. So they said the fire could double in size again.
Wow.
And it's already humongous now. And they say it could double again. And it's already nearing Saskatchewan. So it's about to go into another province. So this is horrible at this point. Now the
It's
wind
seemingly getting worse.
The wind is 230. That would be southwest at 12 to gusting to 19. So the smoke
Is that in miles per hour or knots?
That's in knots.
Okay.
So that would be roughly, the wind is 15, gusting to like 20 to 25.
Yep.
Out of the southwest. So the smoke would be blowing in from the southwest. There's fires in that direction, but that's why you're not seeing it as bad here, because most of the bad smoke is probably behind the camera. So now let me see if I can do the traffic cameras, which I can also get. Now you're going to see all this other stuff. Now this is one of them. This is in the city. I don't know if it's popped up or not. It should.
Yep. It's there.
See? Uh-oh, there's fake people. You see, this is the
Were you about to say Bigfoot?
This is the infamous Highway 63 that everybody's been talking about in that town.
Yep.
Now the first thing you'd say is, where's the town? This is actually in the middle of town. And look at the trees. Now there are parts of the city that weren't hit as bad, but then there's other parts that were really hit bad. So let me get back to, because there's actually another one that you can't get to. And that's this one. The one at Confederation Way. This one was really bad when you could look in this direction. And you can kind of tell, see this?
Yeah, you can see some of the charring.
Yeah, right there. This area was really bad. There's a neighborhood back behind there. It's Timberley. That was really hit somewhat bad. There's another a school that they were building that's just north of this that burned down. So this is the northern part of town. The other one that I showed you, which was at Thickwood Boulevard, is actually the next exit south. And then downtown is further south than that. Downtown I don't think was hit at all. The fire went around it. So
thankfully.
And that's in that direction. Now, if you look, you can see the ridge line and then disappears. There's smoke over here.
Yep.
But it's kind of hard to see. So, but there would normally be a lot of truck traffic going up to the tar sands and whatnot. But you see, there's nobody there. But I was looking at this camera the other day, this one, and there was a lot of fire here. You could see the smoke. You couldn't see fire and flames. Thank God, unless the other day when it really was bad. You've seen the video of the fires right along the road as people were escaping.
Yeah, they kept shouting, "We could feel the heat."
Yeah, that's horrible. But there is one video that I did see today, and I'm going to X this out, where there's actually a video. It's out today. I saw it. I think it was on Global News, or I think from a website on Global, but it showed somebody's house. They have security cameras, and somebody actually watched their house burn down on their mobile phone, and they sent that video, and that video is now you watch the flames. I just watched this like 2 hours ago. Watch the flames breaking the window, smoke coming into the house. The power then goes out, and the camera goes out. and there's flames and smoke everywhere. The power stayed on until right to the end, and there's smoke everywhere, and there you can see the flames. That is disheartening. Those poor people.
Wow.
But you see their house burning down, and there's a lot of them that are going to come back to nothing. So that's horribly sad.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like the one random person or the one random family that might be out of the country on vacation somewhere in Europe that hasn't heard about this yet. They're gonna land at home. They're gonna be like, "What happened to our house?
Well,
It's
they're
in
not going to be able to
ashes."
fly home, that's for sure, because the airport is still relatively closed.
It looks like there's not a lot of people in the town because all those traffic cameras. You didn't see any vehicles.
The town's completely evacuated. You can't. The only people that can be there are officials.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then they're still evacuating a few people that are still left in the camps that are north of town, because those people are a lot of them, when they evacuated the towns, quite a few of them went to the camps that are north of town.
Yeah.
Well, there's no other way out except back through Fort McMurray. So those people had to get evacuated, and they're still evacuating them. The fire is not near them, because the northern part of the fire is seemingly, I wouldn't say dissolved, or it's not as bad, because the main fire seems to be south of Fort McMurray and to the east and then northeast. So I wouldn't say they're going to be going back home within the next week, but it could be maybe a month. I'm going to take a guess before they're allowed back.
Wow. That's rough.
That may even be worse than that, depending on if they get any precipitation.
That's rough.
And that's what you get when you had this pattern, which we still have. We have an omega block where you have a ridge.
No.
That ridge pumped all the way up to the Yukon and Northwest Territories. And that's what happens and that usually means temperatures get really hot and it gets really dry. And that's what happened. And it's still going on to a certain extent. That's why when I showed it earlier that the temperature at Fort McMurray Airport was 77 with the dew point of 32. That is not good, given the fact that their temperatures shouldn't be anywhere close to that this time of the year at all. So it's a bit.
You're not out of the woods yet.
No. So, but they need rain, and that's an area that doesn't get a lot of precipitation to begin with, because it's up in the north, far north. They get, I think it was 16 inches a year, and they've only had 1.2.
Is that total precipitation or is that just rain?
That would be total precipitation, rain and snow.
Okay.
They get 16 for the year. I think it said they're up to year to date, they're supposed to be nearing 3, and they've only had like half of that.
Yeah, they're dry.
So I'm thinking that they must have Mike, to be only an inch and a half off and have this major fire. How much rain did they not get last year? Because you can't get a fire that bad because they must have had dry weather all winter and into the fall of last year. So I'm taking a guess. It's been cooking.
Yeah, my guess, since you said that there was snow melt right up until like the day before the fire started, was that they had like one snowstorm at the end of the season, and that blanket and everything took a while for it to get completely melted, and then bam.
I would say lightning, probably from a storm struck lightning and it started, because it just seems funny. I had to go back to look a couple of days before from that airport camera, and I didn't see anything. I saw no smoke. I saw nothing. I don't know where it started. And I went back and looked at the timeline, and it said on May 1st, they said, oh, there's a fire southwest of Fort McMurray. You may have to evacuate. I saw nothing about when did the fire start, because did it start on May 1st? Did it start in April? Nobody knows. How did it start? I'm assuming it's lightning, because it's not like people are going to wander into the backwoods. It's, from what I could take a guess, it started near the river.
So
it could have been a campfire.
That's what I was just thinking.
Because it was near the river where I think it started. And it jumped the river, mind you, because there's the Athabasca River. I probably said that wrong. That goes through Fort McMurray, and in Fort McMurray, the Clearwater River comes in from the east and feeds in because the river flows to the north. So, the rivers they weren't like dry; they had water in them. I think they were a bit low, from what I could tell, to a certain extent, but I don't know. Especially when the wind was blowing quite a bit, you can have stuff jumping rivers so easily.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could
all it takes is one good ember, and the right wind, and you can catch almost anything on fire.
And the wind was blowing 40, maybe 50 because fire starts its own weather. Yep. Pyrocumulus clouds, it starts lightning, it sparks more fires. And then the wind you could have thunderstorms, but it's from pyrocumulus clouds, so it's starting its own weather. Temperature can get really hot because of the fire, builds up this cumulus cloud, starts its own lightning, can start wind everywhere. So I think that it's on its own, evidently. It's going to be out of control for a while.
Yep.
So that smoke from that is probably going to be through here for a while because our flow has been from the north for quite a while because all that heat came from the north. It did not come from the south because that heat, the flow came from the north, and that heat followed to here. That's why areas in Minnesota yesterday were in the 90s. It was 92 in Minneapolis.
Yep.
They got to 90 degrees in Minneapolis before places like Birmingham, Atlanta, and places like that. That's shocking. I saw some places in Minnesota that were even hotter. I think 93 was the warmest I saw. Maybe even
I think I saw 93 or 94 at Thief River Falls, which is about 2.5 hours west of Duluth, way up north, way up by the border.
Yeah, that's bleh. I know Winnipeg was at 92, so
yikes.
Winnipeg got to 90 before Birmingham, Alabama. Let's think about that. Alabama, Manitoba. And then if you even think about that, 90 degrees in, say, places north of Edmonton, you're talking way up at like 60-something degrees north latitude. And Birmingham's at like 30-something. And
I wonder what the boys at the Long John Index have to say about that.
They're ripping them off, and they probably burned. They probably were in the fire. Maybe they need to have a burn John Index. Every time it gets hot, they have to SPF index at this rate is SPF of 5,000 for all the hot weather and fire there's been. But
no, there's a better term for that: the NOMEX index. How much fire retardant you need?
How much? Yeah, a lot.
The NOMEX index.
Don't mix with the NOMEX. That's not good. Anyway.
Show title.
Yeah, don't mess. See, I was doing don't mess, so it's don't mix with the NOMEX.
Yep.
Never. Anyhow, so we're getting up to what we were going to talk about also. Because fires, something has to happen when we're talking about. So, I sent my co-host Matthew links to videos. Whether or not Matthew watched them or not,
I got up to the last 3,
which I don't remember what they were. So let me going back and
the 3 longest ones, because you sent me there was 2 or 3 that were like 2 hours plus long. I didn't get to those because I was working, and I would watch them up until pretty much I fell asleep the first couple nights of last week.
Okay, so
I got pretty deep into them.
Okay, so just a minute. I got to go back and look at what I sent you. Okay, the first one I sent you was Fujita's thing about Jordan.
Yes.
So you want to start with that one?
That one was pretty fascinating. that one, oh, what was the biggest thing that I took away from that one? I would have to say, after watching that, now mind you, it wasn't as weird as what I'm about to mention, but I would say it's about as strong, in my opinion. I would have to say that the Jordan tornado might be very, very close, if not stronger in intensity than Gerald, based off of that video that I saw.
Yeah.
The Gerald, Texas tornado that happened on May 27th, 1997.
Yeah. So
I don't know how fast it was moving, and I know that was a big thing for the Gerald tornado. I don't know how fast that the Jordan, Iowa tornado was, but based on what I saw, it just seemed like the destruction was pretty complete.
to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It really stuck out of my mind, just seeing the damage and just how nasty it was.
Yeah, and I'm right. Oopsie, that's not good.
That's really not good.
Wah, wah.
Fail.
Let me fix that.
What was that popped up?
That was the Jordan tornado, by the way.
No, the little thing afterward when you clicked on it. What notice was that?
It was a playback issue.
Oh.
Now I'm going to cause trouble. Okay. Here's the Jordan tornado. So there's the town of Jordan superimposed on the tornado. Okay.
Pretty much.
And I have been to the town, by the way, of Jordan.
Really?
It still exists.
I'd have to see.
There's not much left of it, but that is the satellite.
Yep. And wasn't that an anticyclonic F3?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken?
That was anticyclonic, and it was an F3. And
that just goes to show just how strong that tornado was, the parent tornado, when it can generate an anticyclonic F3.
Yes, but not only that, if you notice on this thing, it produced 2.
Yep.
And then this is what's interesting about Jordan, and we'll go back to that. It did that. It made the weirdest turn, and the anticyclonic tornado did the same thing.
You know what? Oh, what else did that?
In I'll do this before that Fujita doesn't know why it did this. Why it all of a sudden turned. I guessed. I took an assumption. I wrote this in and took just a guess. I would have had to see what the radar presentation was from the thing at the conference that you had gone to, that you didn't go to this exact one because this was on the Saturday.
Yes.
That there was likely from the parent thunderstorm an outflow that hit the tornado and shoved it to the east away from its point, that it was kind of starting to occlude back in. You know how storms tend to look like when they occlude, they kind of go in.
Yeah, they kind of hang a left and then they hang a right.
They kind of hang left. And if you notice, this one did it. But I think what happened was it hit an outflow boundary or a gust front, and then it started riding it. It rode a gust front. Because if you look at it, it's almost similar to like a bear's cage. You see it like and I'll put it, if my mouse is working. See the mouse?
Is this orientated where up is north?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
north. That's north. It's like almost like there's like an inflow notch right here. So the tornado, I always have known for tornadoes to ride along, and as they occlude, they kind of go up, and then the new one forms on the south end, like the hook, and you see the hook slowly ride up. The debris ball slowly rides up the hook until it occludes. And it almost looks like this thing did the same thing. And then it hit what I would consider the downdraft, the rain shield thing. I'm getting off on my meteorology, but
I would say
the
it's
forward
probably
flank
the
downdraft.
back side of the
That's it.
RFD.
Forward flank downdraft.
Oh, the forward flank. Okay.
Where the rain is kind of, and then it curves down, like it hit it and then rode right along it to a certain extent. Because from this point that I'm pointing to onward, it was not as strong. It's kind of weaker because by the time it ended, it went into Story City and it was tiny. It was weak by then.
Mm-hmm.
It was only at its strongest right in this area, from just south of Jordan through Jordan and then up to that certain extent. But
wow. Yeah, I think that's probably. I think that pretty much supports my claim that tornado was just as strong, maybe, who knows, even stronger than Gerald, just because of the anticyclonic F3 and just how weirdly behaved. It seems like the really violent tornadoes, the really, really, like the 1% of the 1% type thing, they behave in that way.
oh, we got to get to this part. This is the, wait a minute. Okay, I got to put this back in. There's another interesting thing about this video, I'm sure you're aware of, is the appearance of this person.
My screen's fuzzy for some reason.
Your screen is fuzzy right here. It is not, but this person is.
That's Dr. Greg Forbes, isn't it?
Yes, that is Dr. Greg Forbes when he was a student. And you can tell it's Dr. Greg Forbes because A, he's young, and he's wearing a Steelers shirt. Oh, look, the clouds are already going up. So
is that him playing with the Neil Ward tornado model?
That was him with the tornado thing. So let's make a tornado. If tornadoes could be so simple.
Right.
You wouldn't use something like that now, but this would be a good way.
Still fascinating to see, though.
Even though it's from the 70s.
Yeah. You don't see much stuff like that anymore. I think there needs to be more of this, like laboratory modeling, physical modeling of tornadoes.
Yeah, you don't see as much of that. But so that's that video, which is about a tornado that was from 40 years ago. So 40 years ago next month, by the way.
Yep.
So the next one after that was the Lubbock tornado that I showed you. So I'm not sure if you remember that one at all.
No, I do not. Unfortunately, I do
the one about the guy going to the steakhouse?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. He remembers it now because there was steak involved.
There's steak involved, and what surprised me about that one was just how sophisticated their plan was.
Yeah.
The town's emergency plan was, and yet we still had that many fatalities from that tornado.
Well, and that was another F5. So the Lubbock tornado was an F5 tornado, and it went right through a major metropolitan city. So you're gonna get people that will unfortunately die, and this was in 1970.
It was just their day type thing.
Yeah, and it was at night, so you couldn't see it. The interesting thing about that is the building downtown that I can't remember the building, the skyscraper that got moved.
Oh, yeah, they got moved off its foundation.
The big skyscraper?
Yeah.
Is still there.
Really?
It's still twisted. They never tore it down. It's still there.
Inhabited?
Yes. It took years for them to redo it, but they redid it. It's still slightly twisted, and it's still usable.
Wow.
I think it's the something Western Life building. It's something building. It's a building.
I can't remember either.
I'm not putting it up because I don't want to get in trouble, but especially that video, a bunch of the videos I can play and play or do whatnot because they're government, so they're public domain.
Yep.
But I don't want to get all feisty about people. But yeah, that was mainly one for like emergency management thing. So if we ever get emergency manager person on,
we can talk about that with him.
Yeah. So
cool.
The next one after that was Terrible Tuesday that I sent you. Wichita Falls.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. That was I saw the National Guard Armory completely disintegrate.
Good God. Oh, you're the guy that looks like the guy. He's like he went under the overpass.
Yep.
Yep.
I had a good chuckle with that one.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the person that my sister and I go crazy about is the lady who was at the bank. And she got a call from her son that said, "Mom, there's a bad storm coming."
I don't remember that. Why do I not remember that?
Oh, geez. There was the one who got the lady who had to describe her terrible injuries. I'm like, ooh, well, thank you.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that, but for some reason I don't remember the lady at the bank. I am really failing tonight.
This was the bank. Something
now,
about I heard the tornado sirens. She called them sirens.
Sirens.
That afternoon, but we really didn't pay that much attention to them until I got a call from my son, and he said, "Mom, there's a bad storm coming, so please take cover." I'm doing this verbatim. I'm not even watching this, and I can do so. Some of us, I don't remember the amount she said, went into the vault, and we went there or something, and we heard a roaring sound, something or other.
Oh yeah, and the only thing left standing was the vault.
Yeah, and all the cars in the parking lot were flung all over the place, something like that.
I remember that now.
Okay, yeah.
Now it's triggered.
That was probably one of the better government-run ones that was weather-related. The Lubbock one was not weather-related to begin with. It was more for emergency management.
That was talking about weather.
That was talking about a weather event. Whereas Wichita Falls was one of the better ones that talked about what happened in Wichita Falls and the people that were affected by the storm.
Now, what really kind of sparked my interest and curiosity was that I read somewhere that there was a pretty good number of people that perished in that particular storm, the Wichita Falls one, that died while trying to flee the tornado. You know, they heard the warning or heard about the tornado coming, got in their cars and left and drove into the tornado. And I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned a whole lot in that film, because that was a big part of the death toll, I think, if my memory serves.
Yes, there was a lot of people that were in Wichita Falls that left shelter and left and tried to flee and were killed. And if they had stayed at home, they would have been
fine.
Because the tornado, where it went down, it passed Sykes Center Mall and hit it, damaging it a bit. And it went through the south side of town. It didn't hit downtown, and anybody north of downtown was not affected.
Yes.
And then it went out past Shepherd Air Force Base. It went southeast of there, and then went northeast. It went into Oklahoma, in fact, too. The tornado started just west of the stadium, which at the time in 1979 was the west end of town. You look at Wichita Falls today, the stadium is not the west end of town anymore. There's at least a few subdivisions further west from there now. So,
part of me wonders if Mike Morgan was down there.
No, Mike Morgan at the time, we're making fun of Mike Morgan again. He wasn't even in television yet.
I think he was still in high school at the time.
Well, He was in TV in the early 80s in Tulsa. So he might have been in college. Or maybe just starting college. But anyway,
I think he got a job at his first job in TV either right before or right after he graduated high school, if I remember hearing his bio correctly.
Well, something to that effect. Anyway, so, and I could bring this back up. Let me see if I want to bring this back up. Why is stuff popping up? Okay, wait a minute. I don't want that. Oh, for gosh sakes. Okay.
Buy a Mac. It works better.
But anyway, because here's...
What, nothing?
I assume because I'm showing the tornado in question.
Yep.
Wichita Falls' tornado. Look at... You don't want that coming at you.
No.
But... So... That's what that tornado was. The best thing about it was that it does show that it shows something of interest, and I'll repeat what it shows on here because I'm gonna. It shows that you're supposed to have a disaster plan. That remember, this is in 1979, mind you. Now this was, I think, done in 1980. But then some say this was copyrighted to 84. I don't think so. It's 1980, because they were showing damage from like it seemed like months after. So I would assume it was in 1980 when it was done.
Okay, yeah.
That it says, oh great, and I got an error. It doesn't like me. I think it's because I'm doing this while I'm doing Hangouts.
Oh.
So it's really getting feisty.
Really testing your bandwidth.
No, I don't think it's testing that. I think it's just testing that you're supposed to have the disaster plan, which would also and then it says you're supposed to have a NOAA weather radio. Huh. Surprise, you should still have one, and other stuff too. Mike, this was 79. Now here the problem was there wasn't NOAA weather radio in a lot of places at the time.
True.
So it says take cover in a basement or a windowless interior room. I don't see anything about getting in your car. I like watch for weather clues. So Joe Blow is supposed to know what watch weather clues means? That sounds like get in your car. Oh, wait a minute. I like this. Don't ignore warnings. Don't try to escape, it says. I don't see that saying, oh, don't open windows or doors. Oh, don't stay in a mobile home.
And that was at the time, and mind you, this is put out right after the time where that was the biggest myth about tornadoes, where if you opened your windows and your doors and stuff, it would equalize the pressure inside and
oh, wait a minute.
You wouldn't suffer as much damage.
Don't light matches, and don't go to disaster areas, meaning don't loot.
Yeah.
Now, you know why they say don't light matches? Gas leaks.
Gas leaks equals kaboom.
Equals more damage.
Yep.
So then that's more trouble. So, and I'm walking out of one room and into another.
Nice.
So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here. The thing is, it was from the late 70s, early 80s. So now it's
amazing how
radio have multiple ways of getting warnings.
It's amazing how well that preparation statement still holds up.
To a certain extent, yeah.
I mean, forget the fact that back then they didn't have, iPhones and iPads and all this technology that we have today. There was no such thing as a cell phone, period. There was hardly, outside of the U.S. Army, there was no such thing as the internet.
Yeah.
So
outside after that, we'll see where I have to stop. I did the whole tornado or Twister, Fury on the Plains. which was an hour.
Yes.
The one that showed video that had the Icky Courier font.
Yep.
Showing you where the tornado was and what year. So that might have been the last one you did, because the rest of them were the Tornado Video Classic ones that are like hours.
Yeah.
That's
That's just weather nerd porn right there. That's all that is.
No. Well, no. Okay, that's okay. I'm going off on this.
Uh-oh.
My thing is, I'll probably do this tonight. I might. I don't know. Is I'll make dinner, because I'll make a late dinner, and what I'll do is I'll probably make taco tonight. So I'll have a big bowl of taco meat with olives and blah 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 and all this stuff.
There you go.
And what I'll do, and I've done this before, I then sit the bowl down, get out my chips, and use it as a dip, and I'll watch tornado coverage, severe weather coverage, and I'll watch that for hours.
I've done the same thing.
And
I'm not afraid to admit it.
I'll also watch tornado videos. I'll watch in fact, the Nova special that I sent you, but you probably didn't watch, from '85.
Yes, I did not get to watch that.
Okay, well, you need to watch it. But anyway, it's kind of really old, because it's funny as heck, because that's when they were doing Toto.
Yeah.
Which, if you remember Twister, it had that thing where you had things flying around.
The Tornado Observatory.
Yes, and it was based on. And the thing they had, the Toto thing, is done from the 1985. You see them do it, this big honking thing.
Yep.
And the thing in Twister was Dorothy, because they couldn't use Toto because that was a government thing. They couldn't use it in Twister, which I might add is 20 years old. The movie came out in May. I don't remember what day. I think May 10th. Let me look that up.
We're old. Our favorite movie in the world, well, our favorite weather movie in the world.
So
is
let me look that up. Twister came out on, is it going to tell me? I'll have to look it up. So bear with me. It came out on May 10th. I was right. So it came out 20 years ago on Tuesday.
The day before I leave for Mexico. Woohoo!
Yay. Anyway, so it's 20 years old now. So, but that's based on the thing that was in the Nova special from 1985. So, but there's the unauthorized thing, because I can get on this, because this is a lot of people would know this. The script of Twister that you see in the movie isn't the original.
What do you mean the script?
The script, as in what goes on in the script. It's like a play, a movie, or whatever. There's
the actual the layout of how
the script, the original transcript, manuscript of the movie. What you see in the movie is not the original. Of course, it wouldn't be,
because everybody edits.
However, the original manuscript, I have read it. Oh boy. They mention Toto. It's like a lot of government gobbledygook.
Yeah.
And remember, Michael Crichton wrote this. Jurassic Park guy. So we're talking like, okay, he and his wife wrote it.
Correct.
And they even did the editing for what you ended up seeing. So that's why Michael Crichton's involved, which is kind of odd. Anyway, back to this. Let's just say that if the original manuscript had been used, there would have been a lot more government background, as in Toto would have been used, people's names would have been mentioned.
Really?
And there would have been a lot more sex.
Of course.
Yes, I said it. I said that word. And I have read it. And let's just say there would have been a little more action than just tornadoes. And that's, I think, why they changed it. The movie is called Twister, not Twister and something else. So
you're saying that if the original script would have came through.
I don't think if the original script come out, it wouldn't probably been as good of a movie. It would have been like, who cares?
Then you could have called it Twist X. Get it?
Wah.
Yes, I know. I'm full
But
of
then-
terrible jokes.
But then
tonight.
that's kind of a bad joke given the fact of Samaris's passing. But anyway,
That is true. I apologize.
we move forward. If the movie had been different, would there have been the amount of people storm chasing? Would the amount of people going into meteorology had been lower? Because of that movie, that's why there's a lot more meteorologists today and a lot more storm chasers, is because of that movie 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So
that was the start of storm chasing outside of Oklahoma.
Government. There were people that did do it. For example, Tim Marshall, who is in
people. Well, anybody that's ever spent any real amount of time in Oklahoma, they usually at some point go storm chasing because that's like it's almost like
Thrill.
Oklahoma's pastime is storm chasing.
It's the thrill of spring, early summer in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, dry line, let's go.
Yep.
I think more
pretty
people
much.
in Oklahoma would know weather terms than any other state because they hear dry line and all this other stuff because they watch TV and they're like glued to Mike
First
Morgan,
thing they do is grab their keys.
Lane or whatnot.
Yep.
So they're glued to the people, and
But
they start mentioning drive south and drive north and oh my gosh and wedge tornado and F3. They don't even use the enhanced scale. They'll just say F2, F3. They'll say mega wedge and maxi wedge. You could go crazy. They need like the drinking grain for all of Oklahoma City's television stations because they just don't need it for Mike Morgan because Mike Morgan has one. And
Yep.
the Gary England drinking game, you'd have to change it to David Payne, but David Payne's drinking game would be slightly different because there's a lot of other stuff that he goes crazy about. Anyway.
But the result is the same. You'll still wind up passed out drunk within the first hour.
Unless it's a bad day, then you might be passed out within 20 minutes. Anyhow.
Correct.
So
I would say that Twister was the impetus for storm chasing being popular in the national culture outside of Oklahoma. It was kind of the catalyst that got everything going. But it took off quick.
So we get to blame Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt?
No. You can blame Jonas Miller.
He's a night crawler.
He's in it for the money, not the science.
That's true. The problem is, now we'll speak of it.
He's always fashionably late.
Wait a minute. Fashionably late again. Okay. Sad because poor Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's dead too. Anyhow, but you talk about Jonas Miller, that SOB. I won't say that because this is a program, even though I just said the other word. But anyway, are there more Jonas Millers out there now than there used to be? And I'd say there is, because anybody who's like, ooh, I want it money, money, money. Well, the problem is you ain't gonna get money, money, money. You may get some. You may break even.
I'd say today there is one equivalent to Jonas Miller.
It's that person that just got a doctorate.
Yeah.
The person that his website just went down.
Yeah.
That would be Mr. Reed Timmer.
Yes.
Some people could say that. I think he's probably closest to doing that, given the fact that he does do a lot of educational stuff. He's not storm chasing every 5 minutes of the day. He is out there today. He has seen a tornado. Surprise, surprise, it's Reed Timmer.
Well, yeah, he's a meteorologist. He's
extreme.
Good or bad, the guy can find a tornado.
But then there's some days where he gets a little bit too excited and he needs to take his, okay, I'm going to say something bad. There are some days that the man needs to take his medication.
And put a helmet on.
Well, he just needs to take his medication to calm down. because he tends to get a little excitable. And I mean, anybody can get excitable when there's like a tornado, but my gosh, Reed Timmer has seen like hundreds by this point. And even though I'm glad he has the passion, but sometimes I think he gets a little bit over exuberant and tends to be like, oh my gosh, tornado. It could be going through a town, killing people right and left, and he's like very concerned, but he tends to get a little bit overexcited. Like he's happy that the tornado is killing people, but I don't think that's what he means, but it comes out as that. But that's not what it should be coming out as.
Well, actually, I can speak to that because I've been on chases and seen tornadoes while on said chases. And while I have not seen a tornado go through a large town doing tons of damage, I think I've seen a fatal tornado. I think. I'm about 50-50 on whether or not that tornado was fatal or not. Because I saw one report where there was a confirmed fatality, but nothing after that.
Yeah.
But I've seen tornadoes do some damage. And when I can definitely say that there are times, good or bad, where the excitement does take over.
Yeah.
You know, take that as you may, but when you're in the heat of the moment, and it's quite frankly very easy to lose yourself. You know, lose all your wits about you, about what's going on around you, aside from the tornado and what you're focusing on. To get lost in that, it's easy to. I'm trying to find the best way to describe it without sounding like a jackass and not sounding like I'm not waxing poetically about the passion of storm chasing, because I'm trying to be as realistic as I can about it. But it's really easy to let that feeling wash over you, if that makes any sense, and get caught up in it. And especially when it's, you know, especially your first tornado. When it's your first tornado, it almost doesn't matter, because it's like, whoa, my first real life tornado. There it is, right there in front of me.
Yeah.
But I will say this, when it comes to a tornado even approaching, and I'm speaking for myself here, when there's a tornado even approaching a densely populated area, there is a very significant shift in mood, regardless of strength, regardless of anything else. It goes from, holy crap, that is awesome, to, oh boy, that is not good.
Or holy crap, that's not good.
Yeah. Not in those nicer words, because when I'm out there, I will cuss like a sailor. Sorry.
Oh, well, you have every right to when there's stuff out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just how it is. So I can kind of speak towards that with Reed, because I understand it. I've kind of walked in his shoes in that sense, and I'll admit I've gotten caught up in it. I've gotten caught up in the positive emotion of seeing a tornado. It's a mesmerizing thing. It's acting like a living thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard. It's almost impossible to not be absolutely transfixed by that, regardless of what it's doing.
So there's one, back to Twister Fury on the Plains. We went off on Twister 10, 20, wherever. Okay. This was what got me, and this is what makes me laugh about this tornado video. I'm sure you probably didn't even know this, because you did watch the Fury on the Plains thing.
Yes. Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. This, you didn't watch, you probably were like not paying attention to this part.
I try to pay attention to the nuance.
This is who made this video. Read
Tom Grazelis?
No, read what.
Oh, Good Times, yeah.
Okay.
I saw that. I noticed that.
And I'm thinking, okay, this is where I make fun of this video. I'm sorry, I make fun of this. tornadoes are not what I would call a good time. Good time means let's watch tornadoes destroy? What? This is the most hilarious thing of the entire video, and you haven't even started watching it yet. I'm like, what? I always say, good times video.
But wait a minute, though. I think you're missing the whole thing, and I think I might be wrong, but I think I'm right enough to mention it live on the internet. I think that Good Times also was involved with adult video production.
Oh, what?
I think, if memory serves, that Good Times Home Video was also involved in adult video production.
Okay. Now it's even
I could be
more.
wrong. I could be wrong.
Oh, we're gonna look that up now. They went
Kids
they went out
watching
of
make them
business
turn
in
away just in
for,
case.
for your example, they went out of business in 2005.
Okay. This is so
They
funny.
got okay. I don't understand this. It's confusing, but yeah, they really. Oh, wait a minute. This is even funnier.
What? Oh boy.
We got it. Okay. The company went out of business. They went for bankruptcy, and the company became GT Media.
Okay.
GT Media. And they made two things in 2007 of some movie called The Retrievers or whatever the heck it's called. The other thing was the GT Express thing that's in kitchens. You know, the Kathy Mitchell, the Kathy Mitchell lady.
No.
All the
Drawing a blank.
infomercials. Infomercials crazy. The
lady, yeah.
Kathy Mitchell, the lady Gem Magic and all that other stuff.
Yep.
That's what Good Times Video is now.
Really?
It's now infomercials all over the place. It's pretty much the Kathy Mitchell hour.
Huh.
I have a GT Express. My mother has one. And it's made by Good Times Video. Oh, wow. Good Times Video makes
you have a direct connection with the production of this video.
Oh, so oh, that's what it is. They released two products, some movie and the GT Express, which is the kitchen thing. Oh my God, I did not know that. I totally lost. But Good Times was connected to a lot of companies like Columbia, Hanna-Barbera, NBC, World Vision, et cetera, et cetera. So they were connected to a lot of things. They were like the company that would then put it out to VHS.
Oh, okay. They're basically the typewriter and the releasing company.
Yeah. So they're pretty much like the go-between.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't make this video because by the looks of this was probably, if I was to take a guess, now I've done it, this is the 4-parter thing, so I'd have to go back and look.
Right.
I believe it says at the end who actually was the original.
The principal of the video, right?
And the answer is it is Grzoulis's. So this was actually what I would consider like a mishmash of the Tornado Video Classics that I sent you, of 50,000 hours. They then made a condensed version into what you see there.
Yeah.
And they made it into two, Twister Fury on the Plains and Twister 2, which came out the following year, which is another video they made. And it was also from Grzoulis's stuff. Because
this is true.
This shows a lot of the stuff. Because, wait a minute, I got to show... Wait a minute, I got to find... Oh, wait a minute. This is the part... Wait a minute, we got to show this.
Uh-oh.
Okay, this is what we discussed last week. Andover. tornado
Okay.
twister hitting thing. This actually shows the tornado in question.
Really?
The tornado that we're going to talk about. So I am actually going to
Send me that, please.
no, we're gonna play it right now.
Cool. Video day.
So let me make sure I'm playing it before, so that's not going to go crazy on me. Okay, so we're going to start. I'm making sure. Okay, here we go. I have it muted, but there it is, right there.
That's the overpass
This is
video.
no. This is the turnpike. These are the people. This is the TV crew.
Right.
And this is the TV crew leaving. There's a tornado.
Yep.
This is the tornado that occurred after Andover. Same
Yep.
thunderstorm, but different tornado. This
Yep.
is the one that happened after Andover. And they got in their car. And I'm thinking, they're trying to outrun the tornado. Look how slow they're going. They're not trying to outrun it. They're trying to get,
help.
look
Let's
at
go
me.
back.
I'm trying to get
You're
video.
Okay, you're okay. Keep going, man. Keep going. Faster? No. Yeah. Lots faster. Lots faster.
Oh, you're
Am I
listening
close?
to the audio?
No. I just know that verbatim.
Yeah, because that's what they're saying. I'm not.
Lots faster, Greg. You're catching
Now.
us. You got to go, buddy.
Wait
you
a
gotta
minute.
really go.
No, now we're at the
Okay.
overpass.
Yep.
I have driven past this overpass.
I have and probably didn't know it. Because I've been on the Kansas Turnpike a number of times. There's the Ford Aerostar.
There goes the car.
That's the
Right
Ford
there.
Aerostar minivan, and right there is when the tornado hangs a left in the perspective of the camera. See it make that left?
Yeah, it was on the turnpike, and then it's right off of it. And the turnpike is in this area is a straight northeast. It wobbled to the right or to the east a little bit.
Yep. That very instance is what saved those people's lives right there.
Yeah.
That's why this isn't a snuff video right now.
And then look, this goes from calm to abrupt wind. And this is exactly why you don't go under here. Look at the wind. That is not good. This is bad. Horrible. Don't do this. X.
No
and there's
bueno.
the tornado disappearing. And you notice, whoops, it's off the turnpike. And there it goes to the next overpass.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine there was probably people at that one too.
Can you back it up for a second to where the wind is hitting the camera? Well, what interests me a little bit is coming up here. You'll see the weeds and stuff coming.
They're dead calm right now.
Yeah, right. But when the tornado actually strikes, you see the weeds bend over because the wind is coming from the guy's back to his front.
Yeah, because it's circulating around it.
I've always wondered this, and I don't know if I'm looking at this correctly, but the wind on the road from the rain looks like it's coming from right to left towards the camera. Are you noticing that at all?
Yeah, right here, where it's coming like that. Yeah, it's being pulled in.
Is
and
that
it's just coming in?
Is that really that abrupt of a wind shift?
Well, you got to remember it's at a underpass, so the winds are different because it's funneling. So the flow out there, it's not being funneled, so it's coming at normal. But because there's the underpass, the wind is being funneled at a faster rate. So
it changes direction.
So
a little bit.
It's being forced quicker. So it's almost like it almost looks like the tornado went right over them when it actually didn't. The edge of it kind of did. They got broad brushed, more or less.
Sideswiped.
This is bad. Do not do this. Do not go here. Bad video. This is the worst, and I called this last week. I said this is the worst video ever that for severe weather. I would bet the Weather Service would have wanted to find this video before they put it on television
and destroy it,
burn it, and destroy it, and smash it, and do dances on it, but they didn't. The problem is the Weather Service has had to pay for years to tell people that this is not safe. And this video right here has killed undoubtedly lots of people, including several during May 3rd, 1999, when 2 people in Moore, Oklahoma, were killed doing the exact same thing you saw here. And another person was killed in rural Oklahoma from another tornado hitting an overpass. This has killed at least 3, probably has killed more. And the interesting thing is, there was one person that was almost killed doing the same thing in the 1999 event, and that is one Reed Timmer.
Yep.
And he was in college at Oklahoma as a freshman, and he didn't know what he was doing. Luckily, the tornado didn't go toward where he was, but he almost had the same thing. And that video was, I think, one of the first times that Reed Timmer ended up on television.
Yep.
So,
and in his book, Into the Storm, I think it actually points out, I don't remember the exact words, but so I'll kind of paraphrase, and kind of add in my own words to describe his feeling. He was kind of handed his first dose of humble pie by Mother Nature because of that event. Because he was able to see just how violent that thing was from pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he knew, and it was at that moment he really knew just, what kind of a game he was playing.
It was at that moment he knew he'd fucked up. And I just said a swear word. Sorry.
Big time.
So anyway.
You get the buzzer.
But yeah, I sent you another video, the Tornado Video Classics, blah, blah, blah. That's a bunch of them. The Twister Fury in the Plains, and then the Twister 2, which you can't watch on YouTube because it's not available. You have to go to Vimeo to watch that. And it's all on Vimeo. So, and then I sent you the tornado from Nova from 1985. It talks
which
about.
I think I'm going to watch tonight. I think
yeah,
that's my plan.
Yeah, that was probably the best one to watch. Nova has done a lot of stuff. They did one about 2011.
Yep.
They did one about Super Twisters. That was right after Moore, 99.
Yeah, the Hunt for the Super Twister.
Hunt for the Super Twister. That was a Nova special. They did 2011 season. The funny thing was they did the 2011 season about why it killed so many people. And they did that special only about 6 months after they had done another Nova special on Twisters. That was done before the 2011 season because it was probably time for Nova to do a special on tornadoes again. But
and it just kind of came around.
So then they did that, and then all of a sudden 2011 hit, and all hundreds of people are dying. They had to do another one. The problem is it looked like it was repurposed stuff from the old other one. And I'm thinking, this is what got me when I watched it. I'm thinking, they were like talking about, well, the tornado lead time is 37 minutes or whatever, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And I'm thinking, I'm sorry. Most of the people that died probably got the warning and didn't do anything. And did Nova specify that? No. And that kind of made me a little bit pissed off. I'm thinking, the tornado lead time is great. It's what do people do processing it and reacting to it. That is why so many people died, because they weren't reacting to it properly, or they didn't get the warning because they didn't know how to get the warning.
Or they didn't understand the warning.
So it's like, Urgh! It's like,
or they didn't understand it. They didn't understand what a tornado warning is.
Well, in Alabama or even in Joplin, well, Joplin is a totally different story. I'm going to have to get the book on that because there were several books about that. I know Mike Smith wrote a book about Joplin, and there's a bunch of other books about Joplin that I'm going to have to write read because I did read Kim Cross's book, which I still have right here, which and I've talked about that numerous times. It's a sad book. Not sad because it's very depressing. It's
Yeah.
like if you want to be, if you're in a really happy mood and you want to be not in a happy mood, read this.
Yeah.
Because it's not a happy book. Even
The
though
reason
it's
why I say
interesting.
not understand the warning though is because in Alabama there's a lot of Hispanic people there that don't really speak very good English, and they can't really understand
Well,
English when it's spoken to them. They can probably read it, but they can't understand it when it's spoken to them, like on a radio type thing.
yeah. So, but we're going off on a tangent again. But the
Yep.
Nova tornadoes, the '85 special was the best one. And maybe Super Twister. The thing is, it seems like on every Nova special, Howard Bluestein is involved.
Yep.
So if you want to see Howard Bluestein with black hair, not gray hair like he has now, black hair, watch Nova Tornado 1985. Black hair.
It's kind of scary
Totally different.
because right now, Howie Bluestein looks like Steve Jobs in a way because he has the round glasses.
And I assume you
white
saw
hair.
him.
Huh?
He was at the conference in Ankeny.
I did not see him. I know he spoke, but I did not see him. I think didn't he speak Friday?
I don't remember when he spoke. I'd have to look.
I think he spoke Friday, but I didn't see him in the crowd or anything.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm going to have to look at the conference that was like 2 months ago. Well, a little over a month ago. So, but yeah, you were there. What day were you there? I can't remember when you were.
I was there Saturday, the last day. The day Doswell spoke.
Doswell was on Friday. It was Friday afternoon when Doswell spoke.
No. They worked Friday.
Yeah, Friday, April 1st. Is when Doswell spoke. Because Saturday was, and I'm going to be going there. Saturday was when Paul Douglas did talk, and then they had the Carl Jung Bluth talk about Jordan. Then Tim Marshall was on. Tim Marshall, who's been on this show.
Okay, it must have been Friday then. Wow.
So, and I'm trying to think because I think Howard Bluestein was there. So let me look.
I didn't see him.
If I'm Howard Bluestein was on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, he did that. I like when it's like tornadoes. They had to have a whole thing about tornadoes. It's like, okay. So yeah. So that's what happened. So but if you want to see that, you got to watch Nova from 1985, from the tornado thing. The thing is that be careful. The hair is crazy because it was the 80s. And the thing is, they were chasing tornadoes in 1985 because a lot of that stuff was from 85, probably in the spring, because they were doing the 1-year anniversary of Barneveld, which was in 84 in June. So they did a lot of their Oklahoma and Texas stuff in the spring of 85. And I'll tell you this right now, 1985 was not a good year for tornadoes. Unless you were, and we did this last year, you were in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And we had this when we had Eric Wilhelm on last year to discuss the May 31st, 1985 tornado outbreak in Ohio and Pennsylvania, which included an F5 tornado at Hermitage, Pennsylvania, that killed quite a few people. So, and you'd have to go back to episode, I don't remember. It was over a year. It was about a year ago. So, and Eric's been on the show twice. So
roughly episode 50-ish.
56, I don't remember. It was an episode. Who knows? 50, 60, it's in the 50s. I might be able to, one of these days I might go back and do all the thumbnails so everybody can tell what's what. But maybe I will, maybe I won't. But anyway, so but they didn't capture much of anything that year, so there's not that much stuff outside of the government public domain tornado video you can see.
Right.
So, oh well, they can't have it all, I guess. But
we should make a tornado documentary.
Yeah, called Iowa. Tornadoes don't touch down here. except a little over a week ago when there was tornadoes and there was no tornadoes in the plains. Anyway, so outside of that, there was a couple that I missed. I didn't give you the day of the killer tornadoes. That was about April 3rd, 4th, 1974. I didn't send you that one.
You need to send me that one.
Oh, great. Now you want me to send you more. Oh, goody.
More homework.
Okay.
More homework, sir.
Okay, wait a minute. This brings
credit
up, and I'm going to go get this. So just a minute, because I'm going out of the room.
Wow, dead air. More dead air.
And I'm not sure if you can still hear me. We're in the other room.
Barely.
Okay. There's and I'm going to turn my camera on, so you're going to see my lovely mug. So about April 3rd, 4th, 1974, and I mentioned this back, I think, when I did my book thing.
Okay.
That this book, and I'll turn my camera on, so just a minute. I'm going to turn my camera on. Ooh, you can.
Everybody close your eyes.
You can see it. This is the book about the tornado in Louisville on that day.
Cool. And
it's a whole book. So I got this on Amazon. I think it was one of the first things they did. This was done during the 30th anniversary. This was in 2004.
Wow.
So it shows all the. This was just one tornado of the 148 that there were in that 2-day period.
Mm-hmm.
One tornado. So, because there's the thing about there's the WHAS stuff about the tornado is coming, blah, which is now on YouTube. Somebody actually took the audio and put it into YouTube, so it's now on YouTube.
Nice.
The only part you can't hear, you can hear the part up until when the tornado has passed. Then there's an hour missing, and then it starts again, all the way from it. The tornado in Louisville. This is just in Louisville. The recording starts at like 4, sometime after 4, and the guy is talking to the weather service. When they could talk right to the chief meteorologist guy or the MIC, something, the main guy. They're talking to him on the phone. Like, there's a tornado warning. They issued a tornado warning for Metro Louisville. So let's call the weather service, and the weather service answers the phone during a tornado outbreak. I'm talking, that's like good. They're still doing that. And they're talking about tornadoes are coming and what you should do, which is very good. Okay, there's a tornado warning. So what do? Let's put on commercials. This is 74, mind you. This is funny. Okay, then they get a report of a tornado on the ground. This is not the tornado in question, because I think it was a false report, because it wasn't, I don't think it ever verified. So what do? They play music. Like, tornadoes on the ground, let's play music. So it's like, okay. Then they were doing sports, because here was the interesting thing. I'm sure you may have heard of the ABA. The old ABA that back in the 70s. Well,
American Basketball Association.
Yeah, it just so happened that Louisville had an ABA team.
Correct.
And it just so happened that on this day in April, the playoffs were occurring. And it just so happened that Kentucky, which it was known as the Kentucky Colonels, surprise, played their games at Freedom Hall. And they were supposed to play game 2 of their game against, I think, Carolina, somebody, in Louisville at Freedom Hall that night at 7:30. So they were talking about the sports stuff, and that Hank Aaron was going to be starting in Cincinnati to hit his, what would then become his record-tying home run.
Yep.
Which was the next day. and all this stuff, and blah blah blah. And then they were like doing some promotion, like, oh, blah 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 blah. And then right after that, they went to a phone call from the weather service, and that's when the tornado hit the weather service at the airport.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, the lights are flashing, and they don't know what to do at the radio station, which was downtown. So they don't know what to do. So they're like confused. So they have to go through the warning and whatnot, and then eventually they get a hold of Dick Gilbert, who's their helicopter pilot, who sees the tornado. Of course, Dick Gilbert's no longer with us. He died many years ago. And then he does the tornado and says where it goes. He ended up getting, I think, an award from President Nixon. Dick Gilbert did for that.
Really?
For showing that. So you talk about helicopter pilots tracking tornadoes. The first one was not in Oklahoma. It was in Kentucky, of all places. So a tornado was tracked by helicopter in the 70s. Take that, Oklahoma City.
Right.
It wasn't shown on TV, but it was heard over radio that it was seen and tracked. So
you said tracked again.
Tracked. We're tracking. We're tracking.
Tracking the trackers.
We're tracking the trackers, tracking across the tracking of town or whatever. So anyway,
nominate you for a trackie.
But then there's the hour that's missed, which was between the tornado hit at like 4:30, whatever. So it goes up to just before 5, and then the 5 o'clock hour is missing, and then it starts just before 6, and it goes all the way until like almost 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Here's something interesting that back to April 3rd, 4th, 1974, the terrible or day of killer tornadoes, whatever. Just after 6 o'clock, something happened in Louisville. Would you like to take a guess?
This is after the tornado, correct?
This is after the tornado. The weather in Louisville by that point was fair, I'd say. There was bad weather just south of Louisville in the county, but it was kind of out in the outskirts of the city. I think there was a tornado warning for the county at the time, but
not for the city.
I don't think it was in the southern part of Jefferson County, which is Louisville, but it was not for the city. Although in that case, they issued it for whole counties, but I think they specified that it was mainly for southern Jefferson County, which would have been pretty much from about the airport south.
Mm-hmm. I'm drawing a blank.
Louisville had an earthquake. And it was about a 4.5 centered in Illinois, but it was felt in Louisville and in Indiana and in Illinois. And they started getting reports of shaking. So then they had to call St. Louis University to find out if it had been an earthquake, and they said it had been. So then they specified, given the amount of tornadoes, oh, is this like a side effect of the tornadoes that we have earthquakes? Honestly, it was so coincidental that there was an earthquake and a tornado outbreak the same day that it just so happened that New Madrid the fault zone decided to have a fairly decent earthquake, one of the strongest. If you go back for the last maybe 100 years, that's one of at least the top 10 earthquakes happened to be that day. Happened to be at that time.
I'd almost call it top 5 because there was the one in the mid 1800s that was like a magnitude 7 or something like that.
Well I'm talking about any time after the 1812 one or 18 those, because there's been a couple of 5s and several 4s. There was a 5 not that many years ago that was actually felt here, which I didn't know what it was because I was living in Springville when that happened, and I was actually up. It occurred at like 4 in the morning, and I didn't know what was going on because they had mentioned that there had been an earthquake and it had been felt here. And the only thing I could remember is that I felt there was like stuff like rattling, but it wasn't noticeable, but it kind of was odd. And then they said there'd been an earthquake. I was like, oh, that's nice. And then what did I do? I freak out thinking, oh my gosh, I should have been in a doorway. So anyway, we're
I
off
remember
topic.
that. Yeah,
So
I was woken up by that earthquake.
But yeah, this book describes that thing about the Day of the Killer Tornadoes. The Day of the Killer Tornadoes, which I've not sent you the thing, describes Brandenburg.
Really?
Brandenburg, which was totally destroyed. That was an F5. Louisville, which is this book. Cincinnati, which had an F5.
Yep.
Xenia, which had an F5. And then they describe Huntsville, which had multiple tornadoes. And the area from around Harvest, Tanner, that area, which seemingly is getting hit by tornadoes every 5 minutes there, it seems like. That area, right. Tanner and Harvest got hit by tornadoes during the super outbreak in 2011. And I think they had another tornado, I think in 2012. Yes. 2012, Jeez. Tanner Harvest had another tornado than that too. It was a weaker one, but that town, I don't know anybody wants to live there. Harvest, Tanner, nobody wants to live there. Hazel Green, Tanner, Harvest, the area northwest of Huntsville, don't live there because there's tornadoes there evidently. It's like the
Moor, the valley. It's like the Moor of the southeast.
Something that effect. No, the Moor of the southeast is Tuscaloosa.
True, because they see the violent tornadoes.
Well, Tuscaloosa's had more tornadoes. If you think about it, Tuscaloosa has had more tornadoes than Moore, Oklahoma.
So then it should be.
It's
Moore,
true.
Oklahoma is the Tuscaloosa of the plains.
Well, because I'm making a mention of this because Tuscaloosa's had tornadoes in the city limits, and we're not talking. Moore, Oklahoma's city limits are quite large. They extend for quite a ways, but Moore had 99, 2003, and they had two. They had the F5 in 2013, and then they had a weak one, weaker the same day as El Reno.
Mm-hmm.
A little over a week later. So they had four. And and then they had another one last year, that little weak one that went through more. So they've had 5.
That everybody absolutely went nuts over.
Yeah, and it was like a little tiny little thing, but it started power flashing everywhere. 5.
Yep.
Tuscaloosa's had a tornado in 97. Yes, 97. I think they may have had one in 98.
Maybe. I was about to say, weren't they also part of the April 8th outbreak?
That's the 98 one I'm thinking about, because there was one in the county on that day, but I'm not sure it was in the city. There was one in 2000. It's on YouTube. They had one just outside of town in 2005, which is part of a hurricane. And then they had 2011 twice, April 15th and April 27th.
Yep.
And possibly they had 2 on April 27th. 2. Maybe 2. We're not sure.
Yeah, the one right afterwards.
No.
Or the morning one.
The morning one is the one that I'm suspicious about, because there was a tornado just north of town, and then there was one east of town in the morning event. So I'm not counting that, but
that one's a question mark.
Close. Then they had a tornado in 20 something or other. They had one they had one the same. No. Yeah. They had one on the day of Tupelo, 2014. Tuscaloosa had a tornado that day, too.
Oh, okay.
They had, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm counting like tornado, Moore's had like 5. And Tuscaloosa's had like 8 or 9. Something like that. I don't know. That town, God forbid the University of Alabama is there, because it seems like none of that part of town has been hit, the university. They've had a lot of damage, but they've not been hit, thank goodness. But anyway, just a lot of other places. So I've gone off topic. Day of the Killer Tornadoes. I keep confusing it with Terrible Tuesday, because the interesting thing is there was a video that came out that had Terrible Tuesday, Day of the Killer Tornadoes together with another video, which is Tornado A Spotter's Guide. Which
really?
Third video. It was 3 videos, all government, all in one video. And you had to pay for it, which I think I got kept because it's public domain. But you pay for public domain, so you make money.
Yep.
Tornado A Spotter's Guide is hilarious because it's all from the 70s, so it's really funny. But it's actually still good. Because it's still of good value. So you have Day of the Killer Tornadoes that I mentioned, and blah blah blah, and people died. You have the one I sent or showed you. There's several others that I'd have to find. There's some documentaries that I kind of skip because I think they're kind of a little bit sketchy at best.
Right.
So, but after we're done, I'll send you them so I don't take the risk of having the YouTube break or whatever. So,
Please, that would be awesome.
so anyway, as of that, what would you say, since you didn't get to watch the Tornado Video Classics? Oh my God, that would take forever. What would you say the best video you saw so far was?
I would probably have to pick the Wichita Falls one.
Terrible Tuesday.
Yes.
Al Mohler, God bless him. He's in heaven now because he died not that long ago.
And that's the biggest reason. I'm a huge Al Mohler fan. The guy was more passionate about weather than anybody I think.
Yeah,
I've
God
ever
bless him because he was like
the grand poobah of weather nerds.
I said when I did this video thing a couple of months ago, I said Al Mohler makes house calls because he went to the people's house.
Yes.
I'm thinking Al Mohler would never do that, but he did it for this video.
Yep.
So, and he was doing spotter training evidently in that schoolroom.
Mm-hmm.
So he did that. So
I would kind of technically make that a house call because that's outreach.
Yeah, so. But anyway, so there's still more videos that we'll watch, or that you'll watch, and we may have to discuss more.
Definitely.
Eventually, we may have to do the top 10 list again, since we did that, gosh, over a year ago. Might have to do that again.
I'm jazzed about that. That sounds fun.
No, well, when we did the top 10 list the last time, top 10 meteorologists, oh, good grief. We got in trouble. Because that was Henry, Mike, and I. And we got in trouble. We had a lot of people. We started getting that. That was probably the most social media we ever started on that.
Really?
Because we ended up getting thank yous from people. And I'm thinking, yeah, thank you. You've not been on our show. Why aren't you answering your emails? So, and a few of them were ones that I had emailed, and they haven't been on, and they still haven't been. So, anyway, next week, Matthew will be in the middle of the ocean.
Yes,
Probably.
I will.
So, good luck with him trying to get on.
If there is decent internet connection, I might have to pull a Brian Peters and steal some Wi-Fi from somebody. But if there's a decent internet connection, at least enough to get some audio through, I want to do a show from Cozumel.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for hurricanes.
Hurricanes in May. I don't think I'm there in the right time.
Yeah, too bad. Because we already had one storm hurricane this year.
Right.
So it's like, oh, May. We've had them in January or February. So
I was about to say, watch, we get down there and all of a sudden we get 3.
Yeah. So
impromptu hurricane chase.
Yeah, you won't be going anywhere. You'll be staying in port. So
there's worse places I could think of.
But anyway, so
because my resort is all concrete, so we'll be okay, mostly okay. And it is also on the west side of the island.
I wanted to make sure that we talk about April 3rd, 1974, that I had the map.
Yes. Wasn't that drawn by Dr. Fujita?
That would be correct.
I love that map because it shows all the little curves to the
Yeah.
north that all the tornadoes made.
And if you had the map in front of you, the tornado in Louisville would be tornado number 48. It's not in chronological order. It's just in order of how they are from north to south, more
Right.
or less. Otherwise, it would look really strange to a certain extent.
Yeah, because
Right.
you'd have one way over here, and then two would be way over somewhere else.
For example, number 40, for example, the Xenia tornado was number 37. But here's the interesting
That was
thing.
one of the last tornadoes touched down on the 4th.
Well, the thing is that there's a lot of tornadoes. The numbers get really confusing further down, but for example, in this map, which I'm not showing because I'm looking at it, Louisville was 48, Cincinnati was 43, Xenia was 37, Huntsville was 102, and the one that hit Guin that James talks about all the time, and then
Yes.
that was number 101. And then Tanner and Harvest were actually two separate tornadoes. One was 95 and one was 96 and one was 98.
Yeah. I have some family that lived in Guin, Alabama at that time.
So
And
yeah, but they weren't.
They were south of the damage path by about a mile.
So
So it was
yeah.
close to them.
So other than that, we don't have anything else.
Yeah, my wife is beckoning me for dinner. She got us Hy-Vee Chinese, and I'm a little bit excited.
Okay, he's excited, everybody. So
Yes.
we'll get him eating his chow mein and whatnot.
General Tso's chicken and vegetable lo mein.
He's gonna be having fun now. So we'll let him to his food. So we'll see.
Interesting side note: if you have Netflix, look up a documentary called General Tso's Chicken. It's pretty fascinating. My wife and I watched it last weekend. It's pretty fascinating.
Oh, goody.
Has nothing to do with weather, but fascinating nonetheless. It is really cool.
Well, that seems how we started the video with talking about me having a hot apartment and ending with General So whatever.
General Tso's chicken.
Yeah. And we started with wildfires and rainfall and thunderstorms and tornadoes. Yep, we're doing really well. This show is going down the toilet. So we better stop while we're ahead.
Yes, sir.
So I will send Matt more videos so he can watch them on his way to Cozumel. So thank you, everybody.
Bring it. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody.